I'd like to ask a question, then we'll open it up to the audience. And speaking of disappointing, let's talk a little bit more about the fiscal cliff. What is our biggest takeaway from the cliff being created in the first place, and all of the trouble that we had overcoming the cliff? And is there something that we should be really taking away from this situation?
Well, let me start. We've got a terribly polarized Congress, and the only thing they could think of to do to make themselves get together around the grand bargain that they all knew they had to do sometime was to put in place this terrible policy in the summer of 11 that they thought it would never get to be the end of 2012, and we'd never have to do this because it was such an awful policy that the Congress would certainly find a way to make a bargain before that.
Sequester was invented as part of a program that got a name called Graham-Rudman-Hollings. Believe it or not, the entire budget we had was amended and modified on the floor of the Senate during an extension of the debt. So the president talks like these extensions of the debt. He's just not going to bargain with them. And he doesn't care about it or nothing. They have been among the most important events in causing things to happen in the last 30, 40 years in the Senate. That is running out of money to spend because of the debt. So you use a debt extension to be able to get other things done. And it could not possibly have done it in a more arbitrary and ruthless manner than the way they wrote it.
No, I think the basic lesson is don't do it again.
That's a lesson we certainly keep learning, though. Though, talking about what's led to the sequester, let's talk about the debt ceiling for a moment. Before 2011, the debt ceiling was raised 89 times without any fanfare, just a speech or two on the floor. But then in 2011, there was a change, and the debt ceiling was seen as actually being a tool for deficit reduction. Should it be used as a valid tool, or is this too dangerous of a tool for us to use?
Well, I'm for abolishing the debt ceiling. I think it should be part of any budget agreement is an implicit amount of debt. You said, here's how much we're going to spend, and here's how much we're going to raise in revenue, and the difference is the debt. And if you come up to a debt ceiling which is less than that, you're basically saying we're not going to pay the bills that we've already incurred. And that's not what a grown-up nation does, I don't think. Once you do the spending, and you don't have enough revenue to pay for it, you've got to borrow to pay your bills.
If we didn't change anything, we just started using it. It was always there, you always extended it. For most of our existence, we were just prudent people saying, well, we spent all that money, the debt limit just recognizes that it's already debt, it's committed, so just do the arithmetic and accept it. Well, somebody found enough amendments on it, and amendments give you all the time in the world to debate in the Senate, and you've got things going your way, it becomes a great political muscle, and it's going as a muscle. It's a giant, and now it's going to hold it for the whole world. And when you're finished with it, if you don't put enough latitude in it, you're going to get another one in 6 months. And as long as everybody understands what a debt limit means and what we're doing, the idea that it's pretty bad stuff trying to run a country. By this, I hope that we would do it the following way. I would hope for 2 steps. We would modify the Budget Act to make it important. Make the budget resolution important. Make it so they have to pass one, not do what the Senate's done in the last 3 and 4 years. They have to pass one, and they put a debt limit in it. And when you pass it, pass the debt limit, and feeds it. Same thing might be a different twist. A hard sell in Congress and the Senate today. Because it's so hard to get an opportunity to take a real shot at something that anything that gets rid of that, they don't want to keep it.
we were talking a little bit before the event started and throughout all the conversation about the issue of polarization and how we are more polarized both as a country and as a political unit than we've been in possibly forever, but at least for the foreseeable past. What are the major factors causing this polarization, and do you see any way that we're going to be able to overcome it in the near term?
I teach a course on this subject. But we don't have
5-10 minutes.
we don't have answers. I think it is demonstrable that we are more polarized than we used to be. If you look at congressional votes, very few non-party line votes. There used to be a lot. And if you look at the spectrum of views in the Congress, the middle has disappeared and the extremes are much more represented, and people feel they have to pretend to be extreme, even more extreme than they are, which is unfortunate. There's this theory that a lot of it is gerrymandering and drawing the districts in the House. That certainly doesn't explain the Senate, and it doesn't really explain the House. The tendency of people to live with other people who are like them and think like them is much more important than where you draw the lines. Now, that doesn't mean it wouldn't help to have more, unbiased commissions draw lines, but it might not help all that much. And then there's the media. They make a big contribution. There may be other reasons, but it is really there. And our Constitution is set up so we have to have bipartisan cooperation. We're not a parliamentary system, so we got to do something about getting back to it.